everyone, and welcome back to Up and Now. I'm your host, LaPortia. Today, we're speaking with an award-winning author and social justice scholar with 3 decades of experience in the areas of education, civil rights, and juvenile and criminal justice. She's also helping Black women everywhere get to the money, honey. She is the president and CEO of Grant Makers for Girls of Color, which is exclusively focused on resourcing movements and organizations, right? And in support of cis and trans girls and young femmes of color everywhere. So that's what all of these different organizations are led by. The 1 Billion for Black Girls campaign and Black Girls Freedom Fund announced the 4th annual Black Girls Freedom Week, which I'm really excited to talk to her about, right? Please welcome Dr. Monique Coulson.
Hi. Thank
I
you for
love
that.
that. She got a real resume. You got a real resume, Dr. Coulson. I love that you are a fellow scholar. All right, so tell me
Thank
how you
you.
begin to get involved with grant writing work, period.
Yeah, my move to philanthropy was unexpected, actually. I came into this space really thinking that it was sort of a natural progression of the body of work that I had been doing that elevated some of the critical issues that I know that young people were facing. I think most explicitly, I had been involved in academia, but I'd also been involved in nonprofit work and had led several, organizations over the years from start to finish, and on through its phases. In being able to, really illuminate some big social policy issues and to really do it with a lens that focused on girls and gender expansive youth of color. Being in philanthropy allowed me to be on the other side of things so that I wasn't necessarily writing about critical issues or just proposing remedies, but now being able to resource those remedies and really being able to be in community with folks that are doing tremendous work across the country. And so the move for me to be the inaugural CEO of G4GC, which is what we call Grant Makers for Girls of Color, is for me to be able to elevate in the most explicit ways all the opportunities that we have within philanthropy to abundantly resource girls and gender expansive youth of color, knowing how woeful the underinvestment has been to this point.
Okay, so that you went right into my next question. So why is your
Mm-hmm.
dedication to Black, cis, and trans girls so strong when it comes to this type of work? Because I noticed that most people kind of hide that in the fine print. You put that right up front and center, and
Oh,
they can,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times people will talk about moving our resources and having conversations to engage in intersectional frame. A lot of people talk about intersectionality without ever doing a deep dive on what that actually means and what it means to do what Kimberly Crenshaw invited us to do, which is to map the margins, right? To really think about the people who are most harmed by systems and structures that fail to acknowledge who they are at the intersection of their identities. Being an intersectional organization and doing this kind of work means that you're doing more than just identifying people's multiple identities, but really thinking about how those identities inform their relationships with institutions, with people, and with the access to money, right? And so for us at G4GC, it's been a critical part of our work to first and foremost listen to girls. And when we started to listen to girls, they told us over the years, I will identify as a girl, but I also want you to acknowledge all the different parts of me that are dynamic and to create language and engage language that allows for me to be my full self as I am also seeking grant writing or seeking grants and funding to do my very important work. So we made this shift about 3 years ago for G4GC, though we're called Grant Makers for Girls of Color, to be very expansive and to include gender expansive young people of color among the groups that we support. And so we're very proud to explicitly name cis and trans girls. We have Holding a Sister initiative in partnership with the Black Trans Fund. We know that Black young people who identify as trans are receiving just 0.015% of philanthropic funding, right? It's a terribly small amount of funding. We know that by naming that we're engaged in the work, the very important work of funding organizations and movements that are led by trans girls and young people of color, that we are also participating in elevating their presence in conversations where they need to be. So it's that's that thing where we always say we want to be around people who call our names when we're not in the room. It's our function to call the name of people who may not necessarily be in the room so that we can bring them into the room and more abundantly resource them.
I like that. I love the idea of mapping the margins. I haven't heard of that, but I really like that. I'm gonna keep that in mind and do some research on that. So, what is the 1 billion for Black Girls campaign all about? Just to state plainly, what is it all about?
Yes, the 1 billion for Black Girls campaign is a mobilization effort to move $1 billion to Black girls, femmes, and gender expansive youth and their families by the year 2030. We were very clear in 2020 that we needed to be very explicit in how we want to move resources. There was a lot of momentum around grant making and movement of resources to Black communities. And we already know that unless we name the specific work that is happening among so many girls and gender expansive youth of color, that they would not be included in that resourcing. And so we established the 1 billion for Black girls as a full campaign to mobilize resources. But we also at G4GC established the Black Girl Freedom Fund, which is our contribution to that work. And through the Black Girl Freedom Fund, we're able to engage Black girls and gender expansive youth in the decision making around where that money goes from our portfolio. So the beautiful thing about our work is that G4GC as a premier philanthropic intermediary is able to move money throughout the country, but we're also doing it at the suggestion of the young people who are most directly impacted by this work. So everybody who is getting money from the Black Girl Freedom Fund knows that Black girls and gender expansive youth are the ones who made the decisions about where that money goes. So they were selected by young people to be able to do work for young people. And that's the spirit of reciprocity that has guided G4GC's work. It's also the spirit of reciprocity that guides the main intention of Black Girl Freedom Week, which is a time for us to celebrate and be in action around investment or abundantly investing, I should say, in the well-being and genius and dreams and power of Black girls and gender expansive youth.
Well, you brought me right to my next question. Who is the type of person that should attend the 4th annual Black Girls Freedom Week? Please describe that person for me. Or those people.
Those people, right?
Yes.
We want. So the next, we have had the pleasure of bringing in a lot of special guests to our Black Girl Freedom Week. What we find is that when you explicitly name our young people, a lot of people want to be down with that. A lot of people want to be in community with that. And so we have had, everyone from Rashida Jones and Marley Dias and Eva Rain and Kelly McCreary all be a part of this in the past. And this year we're focusing on a future for justice, or a future of justice and democracy, as the key theme, which is a critical point when we think about all of the assaults that are made.
Dr. Coulson.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said
that's
we
what I'm
need
saying.
that right now.
That's what I'm saying, right? When you think about all the assaults that are happening and the ways that so many Black girls and gender expansive youth are being left out of our conversations about democratic futures and articulations of democracy, especially through a justice lens, they're absolutely critical. So the people that we would want to attend the Black Girl Freedom Week, which is a virtual celebration, so anybody can come, is anybody who loves Black girls and gender expansive youth, honestly. If you identify as one, fantastic. But if you don't identify as one, this is an opportunity for you to be in community with us as we center their brilliance, as you can listen to their articulations of justice and democracy, as you can be in community with them and us, as we celebrate them. It is a beautiful time to build a virtual community in support of the brilliance and power of our young people.
Well, listen, Dr. Coulson, thank you so much. Black Girls Freedom Week is going down during Black History Month, of course, February 12th through 18th. Please keep inspiring and get into the money, honey. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.